Welcome, everybody, to the Genesis Mindset. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about pTUSD. So, this is true USD on Pulsechain. So, this is another forked stablecoin that's on Pulsechain. And it's actually the very first forked stablecoin on Pulsechain to reach the fabled 1 cent mark. And it just came out of nowhere. So, in the race towards the $1 mark with the pStables, this just came out of nowhere. And basically, it's sitting at a 100x or just under a 100x to that $1 mark. So, with that, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be presenting to you the information that's been shared with me. I'm going to share that with you, and then I'm going to do an overview of the pStables, all the pStables, and then where TUSD sits within the pStable narrative. So let's first of all get into the episode. So pTUSDT, USD, first pStable to hit 1 cent. Will it be the first to hit $1? So this is the question. And again, just to be very clear, I don't preference any one of these pStables over the others. This is one of the pStables that is not connected to the Atropa ecosystem. But I'm just presenting to you what's been presented to me. So this information has come from S.4K. And so he's been talking to me on Twitter. So thank you, S.4K. And here we go. So the first look. So obviously I've been hearing these whispers. So S.4K was one of the first, but I also have heard whispers from one or two other people. So not really a lot. So just getting the DMs, but I haven't really seen it in my comments. They were really the first time. So unlike pLUSD, this is really, I've only really had 2 or 3 interactions with it. So it really flew under the radar. But what actually took me by surprise was it's the very first to hit the 1 cent mark. And this is a big narrative. We've got the Crypto Kings doing a giveaway with the 1 cent pDAI. And this has just come out of nowhere. I didn't even know about this. And it's come out of nowhere and it's hit 1 cent. So the question now is, could it be the first to hit $1? So if we have a look at this chart here, it's basically done a 15x from the bottom. And its high was over 3 cents. So it's just casually gone over 3 cents. Now it's lingering at around about 1.5 cents. So these are the kind of things where you got to look at these, and whether you align yourself with it, whether you own any or not, it doesn't really matter. I'm not sure if you saw my newest video. If you're new to this channel, I've started doing a millionaire mindset. So the first one was Richard Hart. And basically, one of his key mindsets is adaptability. So in other words, adapting to the world, being flexible to the changes and accepting the world as it is. So even though I want pDAI to get to $1 and the pStables that are connected to the Atropa ecosystem, I'm adjusting to the world and I'm adjusting to the conditions. So looking at what's there, getting in on it, and then also trying to provide liquidity, because I still think liquidity is the big play with Pulsechain that not enough people are talking about it. Not enough people are aware of the power of what that passive yield can actually do for you over a long period of time. So I want to just make that aware for everyone. So now continuing with the presentation. So TUSD on Pulsechain. So here's just a few little facts about it, again, shared by S.4K. So it has under 1 billion supply. So this is what's interesting about it. So the fork supply was basically 760 million, 760.8 million supply. It has no mint function, no inflation bugs. So all these issues have been ironed out. There is none of these issues. The top wallets appear to belong to Binance as well. So this is just something that he's shared with me, whether you consider that to be a good thing or a bad thing. The whale wallets also appear to be dormant for over a year. Again, whether you consider this to be a good thing or a bad thing, it has its pros and cons. The pros obviously is they haven't sold anything yet. The cons obviously is they could come along and just extract liquidity out of the ecosystem. It really depends on what kind of whales they are. And the other thing is that it's $12 million, 12 million tokens left in supply at the moment. And it has very low sell pressure. And I think one of the reasons why it has very low sell pressure is because it's very, very quiet. It was very dormant. So here are some of the top holders. So as you can see, if, again, some of these things you can consider to be positive, some of these things you can consider to be negative. Somebody owns 50% of the supply. So they haven't touched it. So these are people that haven't touched it for over a year. So they own 50% of the ply. They haven't touched it for a year. You have somebody who has 100,000, so they own 100 million rather. They own 13% of the supply. Somebody owns 5.3, somebody owns 3.7 and 2.4%. So there's someone there with this kind of, I mean, it could just be one person with a series of wallets. It could be multiple wallets because of the fact that we have, very clean numbers, 100 million, 40 million, 28 million, very clean numbers. So yeah, whether or not they're just the same wallet distributed in different ways, very interesting thing to consider. And so what I'm going to do now is we'll go into the charts and we'll compare it with the rest of the pStables, because again, it's just something to keep an eye on. That's what I'm interested in. So just an overview of the pStable. So I've got these charts set up: USDC to DAI, USDT to DAI, and USDT to USDC, and just seeing how they fluctuate around the one-to-one mark. So again, the ratio is really going in favor of pDAI across the board. So pDAI everywhere just keeps getting stronger. But then obviously what we've noticed during this period here, things really started to die down during the May period. So when things started to die down, not a lot of buy pressure. So basically it stayed at an equilibrium. Eventually we want it to come back to the one-to-one. But again, opportunities here for providing liquidity, opportunities here for ratio trading, if you consider that to be something that you're willing to risk. Now, these are the pStables that are connected to the Atropa ecosystem: pDAI, pUSDT, and pUSDC. So DAI on Pulsechain, USDT on Pulsechain, USDC on Pulsechain. At the moment, pDAI is sitting below 0.5 cent. So it still hasn't hit the 1 cent mark. In fact, it got just shy of the 1 cent mark. It was 0.9 cents. And then it had a pullback since then. And since then, it's had about a 50% pullback. Oh, well, yeah, over a 50% pullback since then. And it's obviously recovered then to the dollar. Now, to the pulse value, I believe it's broken, again, here we go. It's broken all-time high to pulse value. And this is probably very likely due to the fact that Pulsechain at the moment is so incredibly cheap. So the ratio just keeps pushing in favor of DAI. So we have USDT below 0.3 cents and 0.3 cents with USDC as well. Now, obviously, they have all moved in unison with the Atropa ecosystem. Now, we also have USDP, Frax, and USDT. So these have also moved relatively in unison to the Atropa ecosystem as well. And these are ones that, again, haven't really been spoken about. So, I mean, if you really believe in this narrative, there's a lot of opportunities to create liquidity here. And some of the things that you can do. So for example, with DAI, you could create a liquidity pool with DAI on Pulsechain, and then the actual stablecoin DAI. So DAI from Ethereum, which is actually pegged to $1. So if we imagine that this eventually gets to $1, then those two are going to be traded within a pool. And so if you can get in nice and early in those types of pools, you're going to really capitalize on that yield in the long run. Not to mention, of course, the yield you're going to get as the trading volume flows through it as it goes up to $1, particularly obviously with DAI and Pulsechain. If you get into a DAI and Pulsechain pool, you're really looking sweet. Now we have, I'll go into TUSD in just a second. Now, LUSD was another one that I covered just last week. This one, again, I'm not here to pump anyone's bags. I'm here to talk about the things that I find interesting, whether they're your holdings and you like my channel because I talk about your holdings. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you supporting the channel. But I'm going to talk about the things that I like and the things that I want to present to the market simply out of interest, because this whole narrative of these pStables getting to $1, it's going to be one of the best narratives in all of cryptocurrency if it does eventuate. So if we do get to that dollar, it's going to be a huge narrative. Then if we actually peg to that dollar, that's something else entirely. That's something where there's a lot of debate, there's a lot of theorizing, there's a lot of speculating. Either way, it's going to be something to continue to keep an eye on. So now we'll go to the pTUSD chart. So let's actually have a look at pTUSD. So the overview, I mean, you can already see the overview. So as it's loading up, you can see the overview here. So first things to notice, the market cap, 10.9 million market cap. We'll just go to the daily. 10.9 million market cap, very thin liquidity, 12K liquidity. So this is probably why it's also pumping so easily. Very, very thin liquidity. Well, I mean, in relation to its market cap, and 72K volume. So again, the liquidity to volume ratio, this is another good opportunity to provide liquidity. And this is precisely what I've done. I got into it and I've provided liquidity on pUSD and Pulsechain with V2 so I can capitalize on this yield. And it's above the 1 cent mark. So this is obviously something that's very interesting. Can it be the first to get to $1? Because of the fact that the supply is less than 1 billion, it's going to require a lot less to actually make its way to that $1. Everybody's so focused on pDAI, and yes, I want pDAI to get there. That's going to be the main one because it's so thick and it has a lot of interest across the chain and across all of cryptocurrency. But I'm more than happy to see any of these get there and see how this actually plays out in the future. So some good little opportunities there. Obviously, at the moment, it's like I showed before, it's done about a 15x. Now it's sitting on about a 6x. It's had a big pullback. So if you're looking at points of entry, you've had over a 50% pullback there. It might end up pulling back all the way down to here because you can see here, there's like a massive wick here. So there's 2 wicks here at this region. So there's about 2 wicks here. And that's, well, that's to Pulsechain. We'll take it to the USD so we can just see what kind of price that was. Oh, you don't really get a good sense of it there. So interesting. Okay, all right. So when you look at it in USD, the wicks are the same here. When you look at it against Pulsechain, the wicks are very different because obviously it's relative to the price of Pulsechain. So it could pull back down here where it's basically 1 to 158. Very key little level there because it touched that level there, it touched it there, it wicked through it here, and it's had a strong rebound again. So, and this is a V1 pool, so this is one that's been created obviously over a year ago. So we're over a year into Pulsechain. So yeah, very interesting. Just very short and sweet. pTUSD. What do you guys think? Again, it's not a buy signal, it's not a sell signal, it's not a this is going to get to $1 first. It's simply just presenting to you what I'm seeing in the market, presenting to you what's being presented to me, and yeah, getting people's opinions on it. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it, what you guys think about whether this can be something that pegs, what kind of mechanisms are behind it that can make it peg. Obviously, a lot of research, a lot of blockchain analysis has gone into pDAI, not a lot into these other ones. So it's very interesting to see how this can actually play out in the race to the pStable to $1. So either way that you look at it, this is bullish for Pulsechain. So thank you very much. Take care.